Thanks for staying with us here on TVC Breakfast. It's now time for us to look at what the papers are reporting. Let's go through them. First, the Nation newspaper with the main banner headline precisely. How cuts in interest rates will stimulate economy by experts. CBN slashes rates to 27%. 14 major banks fully recapitalized. Next is Blueprint newspaper. Foreign reserves hit $43.05 billion. CBN cut interest rates to 27%. Apex Bank reduces CRR for DMBs. 14 banks meet new capital requirements. Next is Leadership newspaper. Employers, economists hail central bank for slashing interest rates to 27%. Cut is first since 2020. Next is Platform Times. FRS. Why federal government still borrows despite 411% revenue boom. Revenue leaps from 711 billion naira in 2023 to 3.64 trillion naira in 2025. The Punch newspaper. 8.41 trillion naira oil theft drains economy, fuels investors' doubts. Next is this Nigeria with the oil and gas brouhaha. New Peng, others kick against planned sale of oil, gas assets, says it's capable of plunging economy into crisis. The Daily Times, ADC Tinubu, you are a one-term president. You leave in 2027. That's according to opposition coalition ADC. Now the Guardian newspaper, UN at 80. Wider cracks in world order amid warnings on aid cuts, union's future. And Sporting Live, which appears to be the last but not least. Osimhen returns Friday against Alliance Sport. I'll be doing this with my colleagues, Etoma, Ria, as well as Olamide. Good to see you guys again.
Good to see you as always.
Now, so looking at the Nation newspaper, the Blueprint newspaper, as well as Leadership newspaper, yeah, they're actually speaking, the economic language. But, looking at what they say, the Nation newspaper is saying that how cuts in interest rates will stimulate economy. That's by experts talking there. Blueprint saying foreign reserves hit for the $3.05 billion. CBN cuts interest rates to 27%. So you take the story that actually concerns you. When I say you, I mean it's impersonal. Okay. Some people will be happy with the 27% cut in interest rate, while others will say, yes, the foreign reserves has hit for the $3.05 billion, and then the economy is also going up. These are indications that we're getting it right, you think?
Yeah, we want to look at why do we keep celebrating that we have increased our foreign reserves? For those that might be asking that question, it allows the Central Bank of Nigeria the ability to defend the naira in the foreign exchange market. It gives investors some confidence in the country, and it also attracts a lot of foreign direct investments because it is believed that the country's economy is not as fragile as a whole lot of people might be saying. It also helps, puts the country in a good light to borrow money because it tells you that, look, it is strong. However, the downside is that some governments might say, okay, we have enough foreign reserve, and they'll relax a little bit on their economic plans. We hope that that will not be the case. So at the end of the day, is it very good for us to have better foreign reserve? Oh yes, it is very good for us to have better foreign reserves, and for us to be very careful on how we use the advantages and how we fall into the disadvantage. So all in all, let's have a better foreign reserves. Let's put ourselves in an international posture where people will say Nigeria is solvent.
That's right.
Nigeria is economically stable, so we can do business with Nigeria. In spite of all other little problems here and there, people will have, investors will have confidence in the country to invest. So I like the fact that the foreign reserve is shooting up. Yeah,
that's right. If you go to Leadership newspaper, still talking the same thing. Ria, employers, economists hail central bank for slashing interest rate to 27%. I do not know whether you're thinking of borrowing money from the bank anytime soon.
I may.
But I feel 27% interest rate is still high. I want to see single-digit interest rate, at the end of the day. But this is a cut since 2020.
Undemocratic will keep asking for more and will forever ask for more.
Absolutely.
But what I want to say is that, first of all, I think the federal government is doing a fantastic job. From all we're reading and from all we're reporting, we can see that things are being put in place. But if there's anything I cry on is that we should not just only read these fantastic things, it should get implemented. When I saw the 27% cut, I was a bit excited. It can be lower, but then again, our SMEs are really struggling and suffering when they want to borrow money. A lot of people are afraid to borrow money right now because the interest will kill you. You're thinking about the money you want to borrow, but then you're thinking how much interest at the end of the day, how much are you paying, how much are you making from the business? So I give it to central bank for that because I'm all about the people. At the end of the day, it's for the people. But I still think 27%, it can still go down. We're asking for more. I'm Oliver Twist. It can still go down, so that it's easier for Nigerians to even do business and survive. Everybody borrows. At one point or the other, you will want to borrow. I may want to borrow to start a business. I shouldn't be afraid that the interest is going to kill me at the end of the day.
And when you go out borrowing, we want to be sure that you don't go sorry because by the time you're not able to pay back because of the vagaries of the economy. Talk about the power sector. Imagine the SMEs that are powering the economy of this country, and then you do not have enough power to run your business. You do not have you're having logistical challenges, transportation, etc. But I think all of this altogether, they are interplaying, coming together to ensure that yes, we're getting there.
Absolutely. A wise man once said, "Boro boro make me shine."
but for how long will you shine?
Exactly. But for 5 years, the CBN has kept, they've tamed the inflation rate, as we're saying, at 27%. Sorry, it's 27% now. But by cutting this key rate, it signals a confidence, that inflation is going down, and we can channel our resources into infrastructure, growth, development, and security. It's great to see. But like you said, Ibrahim, single digits is what we should be aiming for. Absolutely. That is world standard. That is best practice. We'll see how it goes.
So that a lot of people can get to borrow money for their business. Maybe I'm going to borrow money soon, so please take it down with it.
Right. So now let's move on to the platform times. Now we're happy that inflation is going down 20.1%. We also talked about the interest rate just now, but the FRS, making us understand that why federal government still borrows despite 411% revenue boom. So we're making a hell of a kill when it comes to revenue generation. That's the good news. Yes. So he was saying that there is no problem in borrowing as long as you are doing it right, going through the National Assembly, assuming you're making 80% of your revenue. I mean, whatever you're spending is 80% of your revenue generation, and then you're borrowing 20%. That is no big deal.
Yes, and the National Assembly approved it in the budget already. So if you've approved it, why wouldn't we use your approval to get what we need? And that it also helps the federal government in accessing money for projects that at the end of the day will help the economy. So the National Assembly members shouldn't be so afraid of the borrowing. The federal government also came out to say that the way the economy is looking now, whatever monies we borrow will pay itself very easily. Those are very optimistic words. It is for us to wait and see how it turns out to reality.
Well, then, Ria, remember, you're still there. In the account proverb that I said the other day, you do not sleep and stretch your leg on a borrowed mat.
Of course, you definitely can because because you'll be scared. When you borrow, you're always scared. And I tell people that you cannot borrow if you don't know how you'll pay back. But I was really reading about this. When we say that we're doing well in the economy, why are we still going to borrow? And I read something that, I'm posing this question to you. It says some of the money we are borrowing, we're using it to pay old debt. And that's something that I'm trying to make it make sense to me.
Borrow money to pay debt.
So, no, that's not the right thing. But he's also saying that the loans, whatever they borrow, will also pay themselves. They will also, meaning that they will use it rightly, and then whatever it is that they put the money in, they will make more money to pay back.
Because I know that you cannot borrow to pay back. That's a problem for me.
By the time you are borrowing,
that's a problem.
Yes, that's a challenge.
That's a big problem.
Yeah, I just want to say, borrowing doesn't always have to be. It doesn't always have to be viewed as weakness. Borrowing is a strategic tool. Someone like you rightly said, it's been approved by the National Assembly. These are policy makers who know the numbers and hopefully know what they are doing. But borrowing can be a strategy that can either strain or it can strain or develop our economy. It can go either. It can go either way.
Allow me, I'll just say something quickly again. Let's not borrow money to pay debt that we are owing, please.
The challenge there is, even when you borrow, what is the interest rate? You understand? What are the what's it called, the strings attached to the borrowing? What are you backing it against? You understand? You're not just going to say, I want to borrow without you saying, yes, these are the things I'm giving back.
Exactly.
Purposeful and planned borrowing.
However, there are some international borrowings that come with conditions that I wonder why anybody should consider. For example, you want to borrow me 100 million naira, and you're asking me to reduce my paying capacity by weakening my currency. So that means I have to pay you.
Because liquidity is king.
The Bretton Woods of this world, IMF, World Bank, etc., their loans are designed for you not to be able to pay back.
I was going to say that.
They want to back it against.
They want to trap you. So you are trapped at the end of the day because you cannot pay back.
But let's hope that we have strong economic team that assure that, yes, whatever it is that we're borrowing, we're not going to the hawks, to borrow, any of this. Now let's move on to the Punch newspaper. 8.41 trillion naira oil theft drains economy. Fuels investors' doubt. Experts fault lack of arrest. Prosecution in 4 years. Zero oil theft. Regulator hails lowest losses in 16 years amid reservations by analysts. So we are happy on one side that the economy is shoring up. At the same time, we are also being drained by, let me use the word again, the hawks, within the Nigerian society who are stealing us blind.
You see, if I steal your handkerchief today and nothing happens, tomorrow I might try to steal your trouser. If there are no consequences for bad behavior, the bad behavior will increase exponentially. And that is what is happening in the oil industry. Oil theft, we've not had any arrest, we've not had any prosecution. Who are the people stealing? I mean, ghosts are not stealing this oil. Human beings are stealing the oil. Whoever is culpable, please get that person, make it public. And let's have some prosecutions. In fact, the bigger the names, the better for Nigeria and the oil sector. You realize that oil theft will drop drastically, and we'll see the gains.
But it's not mainly perpetrated by Nigerians alone. We have some from other parts of
even
other
I'll tell you something, Ibrahim. Even those people, they are inside people helping them. At the end of the day, they cannot do it alone.
So much so that when they load oil, they turn off the AES, automatic, I've forgotten the meaning. So they turn it off so much so that they will not be able to track them, on the sea till they get to the destination.
Let me say something. Etoma said handkerchief. If I take your tab today, you don't do anything. I'll carry your phone tomorrow.
Don't take my tab.
It's the truth of the matter. I think that we are not holding people accountable enough. We're speaking about oil theft. It's not spirits that are taking this oil. It's Nigerians. And at the end of the day, I wonder that you're stealing oil from yourself because you're not doing anybody bad. It's your own self you're doing bad because you are a Nigerian. At the end of the day, you're stealing from your own self. I think that these people need to be held accountable, just like Etoma said. We need to put them out that this is what you've done so that other people can see it and not want to do it. Because if we're not holding anybody accountable, people will continue doing it and it's weakening the economy.
Absolutely. Very quickly.
8.4 trillion naira, that is not just a number. That is money that you have gone into infrastructure. That is roughly, I did the math here, about 10 properly built and purposeful schools, healthcare systems. This type of money takes years to recover.
Absolutely.
It takes years to recover that
billions.
sort of money.
It's not the best.
A trillion rather.
People need to be held accountable.
The Daily Times. ADC to Tinubu, you are a one-term president. You leave in 2027. There is this subjunctive, mode. There is this imperative. So the way this comes is imperative. We are ordering you. This is what we're saying because these are prognoses based on 2027. But who is God?
But we have said it over and over that our politicians are very optimistic people. He is saying that just to boosts confidence within the ADC. It's just political talk.
Right.
Definitely political talk. At the end of the day, we're always waiting for opposition to say something. If they don't say something, that means where is our democracy? But the thing I would say with ADC is that there's a lot they need to do in their house. Rather than the talk. 2027 is almost here. You need to fix your house right. It's not about saying, it's about people coming out to vote. So you can say that he's a one-term president, but if people come out to vote him, he will be president again.
And if you want to see it, in 2014, at the time, the strong opposition, the APC, was very, very strong that it was able to wrestle power from the PDP. So much so that they got the power. Now, how viral, how strong is the opposition? The ADC, they are looking...
Oh, they are not so strong.
They're the new kids on the block.
Yeah. Oh, allow me to call them kids. Okay.
But I will say this, we know that power is inherently transient.
Yeah.
It's in constant flow. It is ubiquitous. But I will say this, ADC, you don't get to decide. The people decide. The ballots will decide. And we'll leave it at that. We'll see you in 2027. I'm not taking sides, but we'll see how it goes.
And Ria, if you see, look at the Guardian newspaper.
Yeah.
So beautiful. I was stuck, with my screen yesterday watching the live speeches from the UN. But this paper, the Guardian newspaper, is telling us about wider cracks in world order amid warnings on aid cuts, union's future. You need to see different drama or dramas right there on the floor, especially from President Donald Trump. But it looks like the world, is somehow the United Nations. I do not know whether they've lived up to the expectations.
The thing is, like, I agree with you. I do not think they've lived up to the expectations, because I know we're talking about cuts right now. Yeah. And I know that some of those aids do not even get to Nigeria, but we'll now say, oh, insecurity or different reasons. But when we speak about Donald Trump, he's saying a lot. And see, that president is the president that I do not understand in one way or the other.
No, you can't understand
I don't understand that man, Olamide, in as much as as a journalist, I want to read him, I want to get to know more about him, but I cannot. But, when they cut all these aids as well, it definitely affects people in the grassroots. We cannot deny the fact that that's also a big slap on our face.
Yeah. Yeah, so the thing there is, amid all of this, one of the things that dominated the conversations at the UN floor, is the Israeli genocide, on the Palestinians in Gaza, and then the bid to take over Gaza and all of that. What leaders are coming together, even within Africa, Europe, people are disagreeing with the US and Israel, saying, come on, you can't keep doing this. You're killing women and children. Yet you are still voting over $6.something billion for ammunition to Israel to continue killing people.
I struggle to understand how at this point in time, with everything that we've learned from history, we are still discussing the optics and whether or not a genocide is right or wrong. We saw that many countries have come out. We saw, I believe, the UK, Australia, Canada. They've come out to say, look, we recognize Palestine as a state, and that is symbolic. It's amazing to say we recognize that you're your own person, and the persecution that you're going through is unacceptable. However, I want to see boots on the ground. I don't know, Ibrahim, there was one country that came and said, we're deploying 10,000 troops. I want to see you put your money where your mouth is. Don't just come out and support these people symbolically or metaphorically. Come out and put your boots on the ground. Give them aid, give them help. Now is not the time. I wanted to see more conversations around Palestine. I wanted to see more physical help.
More actions, actually. Too many papers, too many statements.
A lot of talks are being made, but we're not seeing anything.
But you need to see President Donald Trump yesterday when he started his speech. He was saying, I've solved so many wars, especially 7. The UN did not even contribute anything other than spoiled elevator and bad teleprompter.
See, there's something about that man. Even the way he makes his speech.
This is someone who's supposed to be a world leader, very proud. You could see how proud he was, and then he was lambasting and somewhat lampooning even the world leaders that are sitting there without giving them any regard.
Yeah, Donald Trump.
I felt I could just walk away from the floor, but I wasn't there.
So it's a big slap on the
all the heads he has been bashing and all the bad PR he has been giving the United States of America. I don't think a third term is possible.
A lot of bad PR,
I don't know
actually.
how millions can be dying in Palestine, and Donald Trump's focus was on migration. These are not the focus. This should not be the focus of the human condition right now, if you ask me.
Yeah. And Olamide, every day we see news always restricting visa. We're doing this. At the end of the day, just do what you want to do with your US. Just do what you want to do with it.
Yeah, don't vex.
And leave us alone.
All right, Osimhen returns Friday, talking about the sport and life. So hopefully, talking about Galatasaray, he had knee injury. He wasn't able to play in the last match, but the club actually won. But so this time round, so against Allianz Sport, we'll see what Osimhen, our guy, is going to be doing, on the pitch. So we wish him well.
Does Osimhen own Sporting Life? We have to clear that up.
Osimhen is our guy.
He's not the only one there. There's so many other guys there. But
we definitely wish him well. He's a fantastic player, and whenever I hear he has an injury, I'm always worried about him. Because for a footballer, injury is not the very best. But I hope he recovers.
That's right. That's about it for the newspapers up for review. We believe that we've done our best to keep you updated, abreast of things that are happening, especially on the front pages of the newspaper. Coming up on TVC Breakfast, Nigeria's GDP climbs 4.23% in second quarter. What does this rise mean for jobs, food, and daily living for the average Nigerian? We'll be right back. Just stay with us.